And hello, welcome to the program. It's a Thursday night, normally the Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday. It'll be the same, a little bit different. But tonight, you see this shirt I'm wearing tonight for a reason? It's going to have to be a group effort to reach down deep these next few months, years. Tonight, I'm going to ask my friends to help us create a survival guide for Gators because it's going to be a long winter and maybe more than that. Are you prepared for it? We're going to have a frank discussion about it tonight right here on this program. So tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show is now on the air.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to a Thursday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. I am he. The show airs 5 days a week right now, maybe less, maybe more in the future, but tomorrow morning we'll feature Urban Meyer. Tonight, it's Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday, kind of a get down with it kind of night with Gator fans like you. So we're going to have that discussion tonight that we all kind of don't want to have. You all know me from over the years as a very positive guy. I've been accused of being a sunshine pumper. Recently, I've been accused of being an old guy who's out of touch, whatever. Fact is that I think it's time to have a reality check again. Let's talk about these Gators. Let's talk about what's ahead. Let's face the fact. Doesn't mean you can't be hopeful and you can't be supportive. On the contrary, I'm going to tell you a way to be supportive in those dark times right now because, trust me, I've been through it. Some of you have been through it too. So let's get a grip on things. We know where things are going this year. Not to a bowl. That's a miracle takes place last part of the game, or last game. And we know that it's going to be a rough road. There's going to be a lot of sledding. There's going to be some decommits. So get yourself ready for it. Can you handle that? It's already happened. 3 already. So you just check out GatorBaitMedia.com and subscribe to it, and you'll find out more and more from our experts like we have tonight. Franz Beard with the Iron Duke will be along. And, of course, also, while you're here tonight, hit that subscribe button. We can keep giving this show for free as long as you do that. That's how we build up our base. You've been very good about it, ladies, so keep it going. In just a moment, Ben Troupe will be in here. Pastor Ben. Want to hear another sermon from Pastor Ben? He can get you jacked up. Maybe it's the time to hear one of those because maybe it's time to have a tent revival because spirits are low. It's not anything new. We've been here before. These things are in cycles. We're in a down cycle. Now, what are you going to do about that? I promised never to tell Gator fans how to act out on their feelings a long time ago, but I broke my promise on Tuesday night at the Gators Quarterback Club when I said to them, raise your hand if you love the Florida Gators. And out of the 100-some people, almost everybody raised their hand. Not surprising, I guess, in a loyalist group like that. And I said, raise your hand if you love them at 5-5. And almost all of them raised their hand then. How long can that kind of loyalty go on? Because that's what Billy Napier needs to trade on. The hardcore loyalists. And you are one. If you are, more power to you. If you choose to take your act someplace else, I get that too. Even Billy said to the players, maybe you're not meant to be here. So do what you got to do. Right now, what we got to do is go to the Orange and Blue room and see our Pastor Ben Troupe here and talk about what's ahead. I built a survival kit for these purposes. I'm going to tell you tonight how to get by it. Ben's been through the good and the bad, mostly good. Great player at Florida, broadcasting now. Let's see what is on his mind tonight, all the way up in Savannah, Georgia. Good evening, Pastor Troupe. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great, buddy. It's always good to be on with you, sir. An hour early, I can dig it.
Yeah. We get a little sleep. We get older. We got a little sleep, right?
Buddy gonna get to bed a little early. I don't know if he's gonna be in the bed early. I don't know.
I'll put it like this. We won't be out juking. You know what juking is, don't you?
I do know what juking is.
Okay. Juking,
yeah. That's what my grandfather told me.
Oh,
when he got out from college. He say, "Don't be down there juking."
Don't be juking. No, don't be down there juking. So anyway, yeah. So we've I just did a column on how to survive as a Gator fan. As I said, I spoke to the quarterback club in Gainesville on Tuesday night. I got thinking about this. What's in it for you if you're not there for the wins? And let's be honest, we all are there for the wins, but you don't always get them. Mm-hmm. What do you do then? How loyal can you stay to a team that's 5-5 and fixing to be 5-7, not going to a bowl? How long will they be able to hang on? A lot of fans will, but today, with things being what they are in the NIL, the money, whatever, there will be people say, hey, get your checkbook out. Let's go write some more checks, get more players. Where do you stand there, Ben, and give us a little hope on this thing?
Number one, but if people ask what's in this for you, the biggest misconception about college is you're gonna win games. No one said that. See, that's a Steve Spurrier type thing that people think, you're gonna just win a bunch of games. No. Now you got everything in place to win games. Got the coach, got the players, got the infrastructure, got the assistant coaches, got the prestige. But that don't mean you're gonna win it. You know what's crazy? I used to think like that when I was a freshman. I used to be like, man, what's in it for me? And somebody go, have you lost your mind? You're in one of the most prestigious 85 seats in the country. They came to your house. This is what you chose. Now, as a player, I'm going to say this every time. I will never blame a coach for what a player controls. Out there on that grass, that's what we control. Regardless of what happens, we control what happens out there. Now, the outcome might not be what we want, right? But I think the thing is, and I love the players. I love the coaches. But if you're a front runner, it's finna show it now. Mm-hmm. See, front running, people think front running means that you got to be winning. No. When the circumstance gets dire, we gonna know what you was really about. And I know people think, oh, Ben, let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ben, it's easy for you to say that. No, it's not. Because I didn't play as a freshman. I barely played as a sophomore. I was a true backup my junior year, and I started my senior year, 2 different coaches. So the whole thing about it is, buddy, let me tell you what you hearing in Billy Napier's voice is saying. Look, fellas, I'm gonna give you all I got, but I don't control out there. And I think the thing is now, buddy, to the fans gonna be there. I'm gonna tell you why the fans gonna be there. Cause where else you gonna go? Seriously, like where are you gonna go? Nowhere. Now you might not watch as many games, but you. Hey man, what happened with the Gators today? Because you've been invested so long. But as far as like the players, NIL has made the perception of college football bigger than what it is. Jump on in that portal. If that's what you want to do, like jump in. Because guess what, buddy? They jump in when it's good. So you know they're gonna jump in when it's bad. But do me this favor. Don't blame nobody if you never come out. Because I think the thing about it is not to give any credit or credence to that team over there on the Panhandle, right? Mm-hmm. But they had a head coach that had lasted 1 year and they got rid of him. They got another head coach from Memphis. Now, when he first got there, his first 2 years, it didn't look like anything. Look at what happens, right?
Stay with him.
And I'm not, because I think the thing is, buddy.
He got in the portal.
Yeah, but I think the thing is too, right? Mm-hmm. Coach Zook used to tell us this. Y'all want microwave success. You want to come here, put it in the microwave, put 1 minute, but it do not go. I'm teaching you how to really prepare this thing. Because if you prepare something, buddy, and it took you a long time to do it, it come out that oven, you like, oh my, it took a long time. Mm-hmm. And then you got your family at the table and they waiting on it. I think the thing is now more than ever, players don't understand. It is more. It is more unlike you. The reason why Coach Spurrier is so treasured, because what he did is unprecedented. He is a unicorn. What he did with no blueprint, no one else was doing it. And I think that's the thing. We as Florida fans are spoiled because we've seen it, felt it, and enjoyed it. And we think, okay, just put another coach in. Nope. It don't work like that. Even if you got all the infrastructure, even if I just got out of journalism school, buddy, and I'm this hot shot writer, and I want to come work for Buddy Martin, you know what Buddy gonna tell me? You good, but you could be better. I got to hear that. You can write, but I want you to. And that's the problem with our thing. Now, it ain't NIL. It's the fact that the way Daddy loves you and the way Mommy loves you is different. Mama Martin gonna love on you. Buddy Martin gonna give you that tough love. Both of them are necessary, like both of them. But I need what Buddy's giving me, especially if I'm a man, a young man. I need it, and I think more than now is what bothers me is these players thinking I'm gonna go somewhere else. So, but think about this for a second. If they can negotiate you in the portal to come to where they want, you better do what they tell you to do. We bought you over here. We paid for you to come over here. And this is the thing. You hope that it works out where you're going. Because what guarantee do we got that's going to work out where you're going? So I just think that for me, buddy, it's all about how you finish. It's all about every single game is an opportunity to say, what type of player and coach am I? Listen. Every single game. When I went to the combine, they're not asking me about my good games. They asking me about the ones that was kind of iffy. And the way I answered those questions was, I didn't have my best game. My coaches did that. My coaches, they poured into me, my teammate. I let them down. Not that, because I think now with Billy Napier, what I appreciate about him is he don't mince words. He ain't pointing the finger. He ain't calling people, what was that thing? Contractors, independent he ain't doing that. He's realizing there are certain players and people you cannot please. Because what happens is we 5-5. Here's the thought. Got 2 games left. Anything can happen. I mean, it's going to be very, very hard to do. I'm not saying it won't be hard to do. But here's the thing, buddy. You're 5-5. You got 2 games left in the season. You got a shot to win 1 out of 2 to be bowl eligible. And God forbid if you win that the last game in the swamp. Good Lord. But I think, buddy, but let me tell you what Billy Napier has done. You know when everybody thought that all of them recruits were going to jump ship based on the record? They ain't jumping ship. All of them are saying, I believe in what he's building. And I think the thing
they lost 3. They lost 3 of them.
Well, but listen,
I know they're gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
But the whole thing about it is too, right? The whole thing about it is too, when we get to talking about what a culture is, I talk about it. I'll put out some type of post each week. People be saying, Ben, why you always talking about culture? Because that's the hardest thing to build. I'm not just in football. Gator Bait had to build a culture. Hey, man, we got to build a culture of writers. We got to build a culture, you know what I'm saying, of how we break down these teams. And people, and you know what comes with culture? You know what comes second? Expectation. What we do at Florida is we put the expectation first and hope the culture catch. It don't go like that, people. I'm sorry. Yeah. And listen, yeah. I'm just as disappointed as anybody else. But Buddy Martin let me know this, and I stay with it. When I say something, being a former Gator, it hits different. Oh, you hear what Ben said?
It does. Yeah,
so what I do is I have it's like a relationship. If me and my spouse have a disagreement, we correct in private, we praise in public. I'm not finna say nothing to her in public. Well, number one, that's not gonna be good for my life if I'm saying something crazy to her in public. But I'm saying I'm a correct in private, praise in public. When it comes to these players, coaches, teams, fans, I don't know what we expected this year. I get it with what we brought back, with what we bringing in, a second year. It hasn't turned over the way we want. I get it. It hasn't turned over the way we want. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. There's a coach in Clemson, South Carolina, who's the all-time winningest coach in Clemson history. He has 2 national championships. And because they're not succeeding this year, they're calling for his job. Why? Because they don't understand culture. They expect it just to jump off every single year. And I wish it did, but it don't. It does not. I don't care what team it is. TCU's best year as a college, they got dominated in the national championship. Right? They finally put it all together and they met Georgia and it got ugly. I think for Florida fans and Florida players or whomever, sometimes, man, we got to take a hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, is this what you really want? Because I'm telling people this every single time I talk to people. It ain't for everybody, man.
Yeah,
It's not. And I think the thing, and buddy, it's like, I don't know who the journalist was who be talking trash about Florida. I think you said something about it. Because in your mind, you going, that's not journalism. That's not what he was doing. That's a journalist posing that's a fan posing as a journalist, trying to put sensationalized stuff to get clicks. Because when you read it, you going, what is this? Come on, man, that's not journalism. So I think now we got 2 games left. You know, ain't nobody expecting us to do much in them. I get it. But like I said, I played with Ronza. We went 8-5 and 8-5. My junior year and senior. We went to back-to-back Outback Bowls. The funnest year I had in college was not my freshman year when we won the SEC championship. It was not my second year when we won the Orange Bowl. It was my senior year because we were 3-3. And listen, we were 3-3. We had a players-only meeting, right? We all trying to say the right things. A 18-year-old Chris Leak stood up and said, fellas, I will not lose a game for y'all again. And we were 8-5. No, we were 8-3 playing Florida State. And all I'm telling people is, I done seen it all in college. Never won a national championship. I've been ranked number 1 in the country. I've had the greatest coach. There is the coach. I've had some of the greatest. I should have had a Heisman. Rex Grossman should have won it. So I've seen it all, buddy. But you know what I've never seen? I heard a coach say, I ain't never seen players that just throw in the towel. They just say, he says, because you know what you doing? You ain't throwing in the towel to the coaches or the fans. You telling your teammates, man, y'all ain't working no more. And when somebody say that to you, this what they should do. They should make if they want to leave, and they can leave, they should make them have to talk to every single player, coach, staff member, and say, hey, man, this is why I'm leaving. Because the whole thing about, because buddy, I bet if they made them do that, they would leave. Because there's certain people they couldn't face. They could, and listen, and I'm not mad at them. Let me say, I'm not mad at nobody. But fans, keep doing what we're doing. The greatest thing that ever happened to Florida was Mr. Two-Bit. He's the greatest thing that ever happened because of his message. He said, just cheer him on. No. He said, I don't care the score. I don't care. He's the greatest. Because he understood, dude, it's 85,000 of us. It's 85 of them. You know, it's only one head coach. So I when I hear these things, buddy, I go, welcome to 2023. I got a nephew in college right now. It ain't necessarily going the way he want, right? He said, what you think I ought to do? You know what I told him? Whatever you want to do. I don't want to use my influence as your uncle to tell you what to do, right? But I told him this. You know why they don't talk about the transfer portal no more? Because it's that thick. It's got that many players in it. And I think the thing about it is, buddy, nowadays more than ever, you know, I mean, what? You can't win for losing. Even listen, because if you win, it ain't enough, right? If you don't win enough, get rid of them. These are our remedies. Get rid of them, right? Texas A&M just got rid of Jimbo Fisher. They owed him $77 million. Congratulations to Jimbo. Good Lord. But now you got to start over. So whatever they was building, blow it up. They got to start. And to me, that's what I don't want. Billy Napier, I'm going to say it again. If he didn't come from Louisiana, he wouldn't get as much scrutiny. But you at Florida. And say what you want about Dan Mullen. Back-to-back New Year's Six Bowls. Then it all kind of went bad at the Cotton Bowl. Now he's an analyst, but buddy, the reason why I love coming on here is Napier preach organized analytics, patience, blah, blah, blah. Strickland needs to Napier needs to go. Chris, I'm telling you. Here's the thing, Chris, and I hear you. So this is what you say. What do you think the next coach gonna say? What do you think the next coach? You know what? Remember when everybody was talking about Colorado when they won them 3 games starting off? What they saying now? They can't win a game, right? Because that's the culture at Colorado, not Deion. So I get it, man. Patience is rough. It is awful. Nobody want to preach no patience. Yeah. But what else? What else should they say? Chris, Neil, Lucky Chucky, whoever's on here. Let me tell y'all something. I am just as frustrated as y'all. I'm telling you. And I do my own podcast talking to these players.
Yeah.
But what do y'all want me to say? Like, honestly, what would you have me to say? We this and we that and we can't. No. I was a part of two different coaches. I was a part of Steve Spurrier's that was already built. Boy, that thing was beautiful too. Beautiful.
It was.
Not even I could mess it up. I couldn't mess it up, right? But then Spurrier left and Ron Zook came. And the culture had to get built again, and it got a little shaky, right? It got a little shaky. Well, let me tell you who Urban Meyer appreciate the most, Ron Zook, because the culture that Urban had to build was kind of like started before he got there with the players. And like I say, I know y'all hear me talking about, oh man, Napier does have one more year, but I'm telling y'all this. Think about this. You see how good Ole Miss has been since Lane Kiffin has been there. They still ain't going to Atlanta. You see how good you see the year Mizzou having this shit. They ain't going to Atlanta. You see what Kentucky has done under Coach Stoops. They ain't going to Atlanta. Think about that. As good as they've been, they ain't going to Atlanta. McElwain went to Atlanta. Dan Mullen went to Atlanta. Urban Meyer went to Atlanta. Steve Spurrier went to Atlanta. Ron Zook beat Florida State at Florida State. So we've had success with these coaches. It ain't been sustained. And without sustained success, and you're making $7.2 million, hey, unless that buyout is something crazy, yeah, he's gonna have one more year. But what happens next year, buddy? Yeah. If he with that schedule and he gets no. What happens this year if he wins one more game?
Bowl, and it's FSU especially, and that's a lot, and it's all well said. I just want to say a couple of things here before we get Franz on here, and say that you're the most positive person I know. I love hearing you talk and preach, and it's good for everybody's soul. There's a lot of people out there who just about had it in terms of waiting. They don't have the patience for it. The ones that paid the NIL money and said that we can buy some players, and by the way, they don't have them, didn't get them. The ones that kept thinking that, well, Billy's going to turn the corner any minute and didn't. The ones who are disappointed that some of the pre-snap penalties are so bad and flagrant. All those people, and of course, there are always going to be critics. I'm hopeful Billy will survive this. There's no guarantee he won't if he loses both games badly. He is the guy if they give him time. Well, they give him time. They didn't give Jimbo Fisher time. Well, they did, actually. But anyway, so I think, and I wrote about this tonight, about how do you get through this? Man. What you do is you take your team and you commit them to your heart and say, this is my team, and I want to be for them, whatever. I want to be a little more patient, understanding. I'm going to support them all I can. Let's just up there and look. Here's the thing about it. No one has mentioned this. You don't get points for having character. This team's character has been really good. You don't hear credit card scandals and all that stuff going on. You don't hear all that stuff going on.
You better not either. Better not.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a tough sell right now for a lot of people. Yeah. But it's good to get balance, and we're going to talk about some of the things that could be fixed tonight. Franz will be joining us shortly, and we'll catch up with them. Stand by for this commercial from our sponsor, Ben Troupe, 84 Reasons. Coming up next, Franz Beard. Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV, but after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know, because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me, and maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you, and a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. All right, thank you very much, Jeffrey. And let's go right to the orange and blue room. Ben Troupe is appreciate Billy Graham kind of sermon tonight. And if you want to actually get your hackles up and think on the positive side, Ben did it. Here's a guy who's also Mr. Sunshine. Could you have more? Anybody could pump Sunshine better than us guys? Good evening to you, Franz Beard.
Yeah, good evening to you guys. Hey, Ben, how's life up in the big city?
Listen. At the end of the day, the only good thing I can say about where I live at in the country is the fact that we get that Florida coast weather. So it's about 70 with the wind. But you know on the coast, we so used to nice weather. People will pull out, these rich people, they'll pull out a fur trench coat because they walking down River Street. But they ain't got on no heels, friends, because they got to walk on that cobblestone. So they got on Nikes, but they are drunk and they do have on a nice fur, dealing with that wind coming off the water.
But you want to know something? If you really want to know what Savannah's all about, drive out to Tybee Island to the Crab Shack and get their low country boil. Get about 3 people together, and they'll just pile it on top of the brown paper. On the brown paper, wrapping paper, whatever they call that, and they'll bring that stuff out there, and you just and if you're still hungry when you leave, then you're either too fat or you just or something's wrong with you.
If you want to get some free shrimp, just say you're from New England. Say, man, I'm from New England. They're like, what? Man, that's it. But man, get out of here with that. We no clam chowder down here, man. We eat shrimp, we eat some, we get some corn. No. You're right though. Tybee Island, man. I ain't been to Tybee in a minute, man. I think the fam might look to go out there for Thanksgiving this year, but we got too many kids that can't swim, that like to play by the water. So I don't know if that's gonna work, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
Yeah. So I don't know how you make a low country boil, although you're not in that part. You're in that part of the world. That's really the South Carolina thing. But let me say this about the status that we're in right now. We have several tiers of Gator fans, some who are basically leaving the ship. You have some who are hardcore, will stay there forever, and some who are unhappy but staying. I heard Billy's comments today on the question, and I guess it was yesterday, friends, you were probably there. When he was asked about the 5-7, 5-6, 5-7 records, how do you deal with that, the players? And his answer was, I would say these kids have been through, each one of them, a little different in terms of what their experience has been like. I think they've all been through some adversity to a degree. I don't think we've had anybody there that's undefeated. We do have some that come from great programs. We have different levels of success coming from high school. Ultimately, I think we talked about it earlier in the week. I think toughness, endurance, faith, your ability to overcome resiliency, those things are developed. You're not born with them. So you got to go through tough things that develop some of these things. I think it will prove to be beneficial. Some of the tougher things I've been through in life have ultimately been, you didn't understand it at the time, but you look back and you benefited from some degree. I think this is part of the growth for guys on our team. I talked to Bill Carr, the former AD of the night at the Gator Club. At the quarterback club. We talked about the word crucible. We've all had our crucibles. And I think right now we've got the Gator fans to be crucible. Let me read you the best thing I've ever heard on a crucible, given to me by Terry Bradshaw. It was from a guy named Wintley Phipps, who's a very good singer and pastor. He said this. It is in the quiet crucible of your personal, private sufferings that your noblest dreams are born and God's greatest gifts are given in compensation for what you've been through. I think we all know that that's what you rely on when you go through tough times. Is this a crucible for Florida football, friends?
Well, I'm the one that asked that question, and I was mixed bag on the answer. I thought some of his answer was very good about the fact that you got to go through the adversity, but you got I think you've got to be real about this, because some of these guys, and Ben, you know this for a fact, some of these guys come here and their first year in college, they may go on an 8-4 team and they may not have lost 4 games in their high school careers. And for them, it's like deer in the headlights. What am I doing here? How come we're losing so much? They don't realize that the higher you go, the tougher the wins get, the more you appreciate the wins. I was a little disappointed in the answer on that, but I do understand what he's saying, that you do have to go through adversity. And I think we had spoiled fans here at Florida. I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I think our fans have been very spoiled. And I think they were spoiled by Steve. I think they were spoiled by Urban. I think that's why they were so uptight about Ron Zook. And, Zucker left behind 20 starters from a team that won the national championship 2 years later. So, for maybe Zucker didn't do everything right, but by golly, he sure knew how to evaluate talent and bring it in. We're looking at what we're looking at right now. It isn't 1 year. I think this is the hard thing for people to grasp, Buddy and Ben. This is not 2 years in the making. What's going on here? This is not 1 year and 10 games in the making. This is the 11 years before that in the making that got us to this point. And I think our fans remember the Spurrier era. They remember the Urban era, and they think, well, it's been done before, so why aren't we doing it now? Well, one of the reasons we aren't doing it now is because of the 11 years that led up to Billy Napier. And that would be my answer. So, yeah, you could say it's a crucible.
All right, Ben, you kind of see the glass half full on this, and I guess you could get what you want to out of it. Mm-hmm. I get why the NIL guys who are giving money are unhappy that they haven't seen any results. I think we're all concerned that maybe now the NIL is going to close down a little bit, and the people in that 2024 class they've got coming up, that class may drop some more. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm not smart enough. So there's a little bit of a nervous stream running through Gator Nation right now. Concerned. Where does this thing stop? Is this going to require a tourniquet or Band-Aids? How do you stop it? And it's an unknown territory for a lot of these people saying, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen, Ben?
I really don't know. I mean, I really wish I had a definitive answer to be like, what's going to happen? But it's like I keep, when people say things like, what Spurrier did is unprecedented. What Urban Meyer did was unprecedented, right? We act like the things didn't happen between and after that. We act like Zook didn't happen after Spurrier. We act like Muschamp and McElwain didn't happen after Urban Meyer. It's like it was so good that you threw out the other stuff. You threw out. People talk about how bad the offense is, and this is no offense. We had to go through the Muschamp era. It is not like that. It is not like that. But I think the thing is, there's a certain level of expectation when you go to the University of Florida. And I don't care who's at quarterback, who's at the head coach. You just expect to get it done. It don't work like that, man. It don't work like that. The product on the field is what sells. And right now, right, you losing games. You about to have back-to-back losing seasons, right? You about to have back-to-back losing seasons. It's hard to stomach. It's hard to stomach. But let's call this what this really is. Let me tell you why it's really hard to stomach. It's because of what's going on in Tallahassee. It's because of what's going on in South Florida. Because people compare that stuff, right? We are 2 years removed from Florida State going to back-to-back no bowl game. Have you ever seen Miami in a bowl game and what it looks like? It's embarrassing. But what happens is we live in a what have you done for me lately type thing. And I get that part too. So when it comes to what is going to have to happen, look, yes, Billy Napier's going to be back next year. Yes, the seat is piping hot, right now. But man, you got to make a decision as play. I ain't even talking about the coaches, man. Listen, I love Ed Zombrek. I love him. This man gave me an opportunity to show off my talent. But friends, you know this. It's not like he was a world beater when it come to play calling. It wasn't. It was about as simple as it get. But what happened? Execution, right? I mean, you know what? Listen, thank God Harbaugh wasn't coaching when I was in college. That would have been the easiest signals of steel. He don't even. That's me. You 6. That's me. You right. But at a certain point, you got to say two things. What is my individual legacy, which don't matter, and what is the team legacies of the teams I was on? Because that's how we played. When people like this, you supposed to talk about turnaround. Jabbar Gaffney leaves, Alex Brown leaves, Gerard Warren leaves, Lito Shepard leaves. All these dudes left in the same draft, all of them, and Spurrier left. We could have said, "Hey man, we was too young to go pro, right? And we weren't good enough to go pro. We still needed some time." So what happens is we said, all right, we're going to take this dude named Ron Zook, who was a special teams coordinator when they won back in '96. We really don't know who the hell he is. But once we stopped making excuses, feeling sorry for ourselves, right, we started winning games. Now, did LSU come to Florida and beat us like we stole something my junior year at night? Yes. But at the same time, you know how you know his culture was built? Because an 18-year-old started in the SEC. An 18-year-old started in the SEC with Ron Zook. I don't care. Listen, I'm going to say this. Listen, Shane Matthews wasn't 18 when he started. Danny Warford wasn't 18 when he started. Rex Grossman wasn't 18 when he started. And these boys are some of the greatest. I'm telling people, as a player, it is the roughest play. I played for the Tennessee Titans, people. My rookie year, we went 4-12. You know what we did my second year? 5-11. So we improved by one game because our average age was 22, 23. That's the average age. My third year we went 8. My third year we went 8-8. My last year we went 10-6. Made it to the playoffs. Went out there and played LaDainian Thomas and the company and got beat. You know why? Because we had Norm Chow as our offensive coordinator who came from USC. And you know what he thought? He was there with Matt Lerner and Reggie Bush and Lindell White. He drafted Lindell. This is the league, man. That ain't Washington State. So I'm just saying, you ain't gonna get no sympathy from me because I went from a whatever the nicest jet is with Coach Spurrier to a crop duster. But we flew that thing. We flew it. We flew it, right? We flew it. We went from flying over these fields to watering them. We got to go water. But what Ron Zook taught us how to do, don't make excuses. No one cares. All that, nobody cares. Because guess what? When Florida's winning, we talk trash. We pouring salt in the wound. What you think gonna happen when we losing? Because when Florida State was losing, and BJ Bennett's my best friend, Florida State fan. The year after Florida didn't make a bowl game, who stopped going to bowl games next year? Florida State went 2 straight years. They got Willie Taggart, brought him out. So all I'm saying is, man, look, nobody cares. Get your behind out there and play. Because if you go to another school, because you're good enough, they're going to ask you why you left. I'm talking about the team you're going to. And they're going to they're going to say, I think you left because y'all was losing. No. Yeah, you did. Yeah, of course you did. And guess what? What happens when we start losing the team we go to? So I'm just saying, I don't want nobody to think I'm making excuses for nobody. Get your behind up and go to practice. Go out there and play. Eli Drinkwitz is the weirdest coach in college football, and he will take that on. They are winning in Missouri because they believe in him. I don't know what they're doing up there. And Missouri is about as far away from the Southeast as the Southeast get. But they winning. So all I'm saying, remember when we thought Tennessee was better than what we thought Missouri was like, nope, we're going to tow their behinds out the frame last weekend. So I'm just saying, take your behind out there and play, man, because I know I sound like the old retired guy now, but who cares? Take your behind out there and play because Ben Watson,
Eli
who played Georgia, he said, Ben Watson and them, they went to Georgia. They don't know what the hell going on. They ain't never seen this much success in Georgia. They just as shocked as us, but they'll take it. They'll take it.
Eli 17 and 19 his first 3 years at Missouri. So,
what's he now? 26 and 20 or something like that?
He is now 8 and 2. He's now 25 and 21 since he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is you look at the foundation he has set with his 3 years there, and look at the guys he's brought in there. He's got two future first-round draft pick wide receivers. He's got a quarterback that's going to play in the NFL. And he's got a whole bunch of young DBs who will strike you.
Mm-hmm.
They give up yards, but everybody will tell you their secondary hits as hard or harder than anybody you'll find.
Yeah,
so he's got a good foundation.
Yes, he does. I'm going to bring Loren in here. He's got a scouting report on, which runs tomorrow morning in Gator Bait. Let me first tell you about Titan MRI. Titan MRI, worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You can pay with cash or card with same-day scheduling available. You can start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages are checking it out. Titan MRI. It's TitanMRI.com. Let's go back to the orange and blue room and see what Loren's got to say. I know he's been doing a scouting report on some of these guys. I'll say good evening to Coach Meadows. What's up, Loren?
How you guys doing?
All right, my man. We're having a little discussion here about Missouri, and Franz is talking about what they got. I think Franz emphasized the secondary, guys who will strike you, hit you. Quite a surprise, this team, Loren. Drinkwitz has developed some good ball players. Your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about before, I think that, you got a combination of a plan that's in place, that's working. You got coaches that are, coaching their butts off. And like Franz said, I mean, you got really, you got Theo Weiss, you got Luther Burden, and you've got Mookie Cooper. You might have three guys that'll play on Sunday at the receiver position. And like you said, the secondary is probably one of the more underrated in the country. They got a kid out of West Orange at strong safety, Carlos, who's number one. And I mean, they got some decent guys. And then they got a guy named Tyron Hopper that'll be familiar to Florida fans. Spent 3 years at Florida and is probably one of the top 5 linebackers in the SEC. So, I mean, right now they're coaching them up and they got them going. I mean, that's and I think that's a cautionary tale. I mean, like I said, I've been hard on Billy Napier and staff, but I think, it's a combination of what Missouri has done is taking a group of good players and coaching them up. Like somebody said today, all of our best players are guys that Billy Napier brought in, but you got to coach them up. You got to get them playing the right way, playing mistake-free, efficient football, and that's what Missouri seems to be doing right now.
Yeah.
Travis Johnson, by the way, is playing safety for them, and he started 2 years here
as well.
at UF.
Yeah. Franz, I was going to say, is it kind of hard for you to think about this for a second? Just a few years ago, Florida football was still pretty good. That Missouri has passed by the Florida Gators. Is Drinkwitz that good a coach?
Yeah, he is. He started out like as a science teacher at the same high school, and Gus Malzahn kind of drafted him to become a high school football coach.
He looks like a science teacher too.
And he's he's a product of, Gus doesn't get enough credit. Gus is a pretty good football coach. But certainly, he's come up through the ranks, high school coach, up there as a GA, then to a full-time,
Auburn.
A pretty good football coach. And let me tell you what, the offenses at North Carolina State and at Appalachian State, where he was the head coach for 1 year, haven't been the same since he left. He does a good job. He's very good at identifying the talent. And they were smart enough at Missouri to let him bring in his talent. And sometimes, that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. Not everybody not everybody can be an Urban Meyer that can take what's left behind and build it into a championship program. Not everybody is like Steve Spurrier, who took what Galen Hall left behind and turned that into a pretty good football program. Then you get Will Muschamp, who forgot that you're allowed to play offense. And then you got Jim McElwain, who just forgot. And when the NFL talent that on defense that was left behind graduated, I think his brain graduated too. And then Dan Mullen, and I'm still trying to figure that one out, guys. I really am, because he should have succeeded here. And he should have been more motivated as a recruiter. He should have succeeded. And I'm hearing, by golly, that he may be the next coach at Arkansas.
We'll see. Well, Ben, be objective right now. If you were the AD that's anywhere, let's say Florida, and you're going to fire, well, let's put it this way. If you had a choice between Billy Napier and Eli Drinkwitz, and you want to pick them as a coach without any regards to where they are now, who would you take?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
I would take Billy Napier, because I think you talk about two total different places. Like, take nothing away from what Eli Drinkwitz is doing up there in Missouri. I don't know what the pressure is like up there. I'm not taking away what he's doing there, but we talking about two totally different monsters coming out the same freaking cage, right? Well, one of them is coming from game. It's just different. And I was listen. Eli Drinkwitz came from the Sun Belt, just like Billy Napier did.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, right? Not to give him. Eli Drinkwitz understood, man. They gonna give me time to develop what I do, and he's a hell of a coach. And the hard thing about it? Do I think Missouri has to pass for? No. Now, are they playing better football right now? Yes, of course, yes. But I think the thing is, right? Whatever, and I mean this respectfully, whatever Missouri does, as far as like on the right side of 500, on the other side of 500 is a plus every year, every single year. Dan Mullen went to back-to-back New Year's Six Bowls, got blown out in the Cotton Bowl, and he was gone. That's the difference. That's the difference right there. It's like people be saying, man, because I think the thing is, Scott Strickland, Jeremy Foley, whoever is the AD of Florida, they expect to not be talked about because they're Florida. They expect to be talked about because you in the national championship conversation, and that's just not going on right now. So I respect. Listen, I think Mark Stoops is doing a better job than Eli Drinkwitz. I think he's doing a better job up there in freaking Kentucky. A hell of a job up there in Kentucky. But I just think that the stakes are different. I don't think that the expectation is different.
Yeah. That's the key word.
Right? They're going to say, wow.
Yeah,
Kentucky's not going to Atlanta unless it's basketball tournament.
You mentioned a word. I want to get to a word you just said there, which is key to our conversation. Expectations.
Absolutely.
When you played, Ben, it was still a dream. 1996 was a dream that came true. They were never expected to win a national championship. And, of course, Spurrier won all those SECs. And now, all of a sudden, when Urban got here, it was expected. It cost him his health because there was so much expectations. Florida fans have expectations about this program. My suggestion in my article for tomorrow on the Survival Kit was forget expectations. Think about dreams and wanting to do well. Find something to be for and cheer for in your team. It's not going to be a trip to Atlanta this year or next or maybe the year after for the Florida Gators. You can have some expectations, but your dreams need to exceed your expectations. Otherwise, Loren, you're in for a miserable time right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if, even though they say give Billy Napier time, I mean, as far as a national championship is concerned, I mean, I think that's so far down the road just for a lot of different reasons. Georgia's not going anywhere. Kentucky is always going to be a thorn in the side. There's just so many things. Like Ben said, it's just different. But, I'm a person. I would say that I'm not a sky is falling person, but I guess I'm in wait and see mode. because it's just a situation where, you just don't know right now with the changing landscape of college football and things like that. But, like I just harken back to right now, like I told somebody, all Billy Napier has right now is wait and see. And then the problem with me is there's nothing really visible on the field. And that's once again, where you make your money, that I can lean on and say, hey, other than the fact that, if you want to give him credit for making Graham Mertz a NFL quarterback, then he definitely, because Graham Mertz is the real deal. So, I think it's just, but I think for a situation where you can expect Billy Napier to have an 8-win football team in the next, 3 to 4 years on a consistent basis, I would say that's reachable. But I think sometimes when people talk about 11-1, 12-0, going back to those type of things, it's gonna be an interesting situation to see if that ever occurs.
Franz, you know about expectations. You've lived with them all these years. You've seen Gator Nation come and go. You've seen coaches come and go. And what are the realistic expectations for the next few years for the Florida Gators?
I think a championship program can be built here, but this is not the situation where you can be a bottle rocket and you're up in the air sparkling and then you're going to be right down. If it's going to be a championship program, it's got to be built from the ground up, and it's got to be sustainable. Here's why it's going to take so much time. How many coaches have been at Georgia since in this century?
Two.
How many coaches have been at Alabama since 2007?
One.
Okay, right there. They have a foundation in place that we don't have, that we lost. Remember that old story coming up in church? The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand, and the waves came in, and the sand blew away, and whatever. We don't have a house that's built on a rock right now, and they're having to build it. That's what Georgia has. That's what Alabama has, and that's why they're sustaining their success. We have not done that. We've allowed the foundation to erode, much the way that Tennessee allowed its foundation to erode, because Tennessee, you've got to remember, in the 1990s, Tennessee was right there with Florida, I think the third or fourth winningest program in all of college football, and they allowed the foundation to erode. And Tennessee's the example of what can happen, how long it can take to regain that foundation if you don't have the right people. But you can't have a constant carousel there. By having only two coaches, Georgia has had stability in the program, and it's worked well for them. And it's going to be really, really hard to overcome what they've got right now because of the fact they have so much stability. Just the same, it's going to be it's hard to overcome Alabama. And you got to ask yourself this question. What happens if Alabama does what Florida did and hires the wrong guy after Nick? We had the right guy in here in Urban, but what happens, we're the perfect example. Look what happens when you hire the wrong guy, and then all of a sudden you rush into it, you hire the wrong guy a second time, and then you come into it and you do it 3 times in a row. Holy cow. I mean, you just can't sustain success this way that we've gone about it.
True. Ben, how much pain can this Gator Nation take before they start wanting to see something and start to revolt?
It depends on how long they've been Florida fans. Cause like I said, it's like, look, I do my best to try to be like as middle of the road as I possibly can, right? Middle of the road. Florida, to show you how crazy it is in Florida. This is since this is in 2016. 9-4, 4-7, 10-3, 11-2, 8-4, 6-7, 6-7, and 5-5. Now, I'm not going to talk about that team down south because they ain't never won the ACC. So you got to win the ACC to even be in this conversation. There's a team over there, in the Panhandle. This is since 2017 to show you that people just think that it's just happened. This is in 2017. 7-6, 5-7, 6-7, 3-6, 5-7, 10-3, 10-0. I'm telling you, this stuff goes like this. The same thing that happened when Urban left, it's rough because what Urban did, it got a freaking documentary. That's how it is what he did. You can go watch it. But I think for Florida it is rough, man. Like I said, I have to deal with my mama, and my mama will never have to worry about doing what we're doing here. Because they're going to take me one show and she's going to be off the air. Because what she going to say, and this is a Christian woman I'm talking about now, she ain't going to cuss or nothing. It's going to be right there. But I think the thing is, sometimes we don't like the process. That's what we're watching. I was a part of it, and I couldn't stand it. I had the talent to play, I had the gifts to play, and it took me 4 years to figure it out. 4. You know how many? Listen.
At least you can count. You can count 4 and then you can get 11.
But at the same time, but it's the thing though, buddy. When I come in with Spurrier, this thing was put together so well. They just plugged me in. Win. Second year, win. Then Ron Zook comes, and the lights was flickering a little bit, and food ain't taste as good. I'm like, what's going on? Cause he had what Spurrier had as far as like infrastructure. He didn't have what Spurrier had as far as culture. And I didn't understand culture until I got done, with college and understood like this. When people say, what is culture? You know what culture is? This is what culture is. Culture is when winning teams start losing and you saying what's going on. Like, this was the first year that the Yankees and the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs. That's crazy, even if you don't root for them. You're like, what's going on in Boston? What's going on in New York? Because they got the players, right?
Not the payroll, that's for sure.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, though, buddy, who had the Texas Rangers winning it all? Nobody. Nobody had them winning it. But while we watching the Astros and the Braves and all this team is getting better. And they put it together for 1 year. With Florida, we expect Florida to be a top team every year. That's not going to happen, man. Even if you got a good coach. Right? Because we complained that Dan Mullen didn't recruit, but he won. We complained that Billy Napier can't win, but he can recruit. You got to put them together. You got to merge both. I got to be able to coach and recruit. What does that look like? The 90s for Florida, the early 2000s with Urban Meyer. That's what it looks like if you can put together. Because I think now for Florida Nation, for Gator Nation, listen, people. I don't know how much alcohol is in Florida. Hopefully it's cheap. Just be careful because you're going to consume a lot with this team.
It's coming up a lot.
I'm just telling the truth because at the end of the day, Florida 5-5. Who knows what's going to happen these last 2 games?
It's going to be a while.
Remember, I said this last week, and I hate being right. I said what happens to Florida happens to nobody. Look at LSU. People breaking records. That happens to nobody but Florida. Look at Kentucky. It's okay that people breaking records. And that's the part that's hard to stomach is people look at the game. Oh, man, it was 52-30 for that game. Man, please. Don't.
No, what's hard to stomach is the end of the Arkansas game. And that's what I mean. I get all that, but those things, regardless, it's those kind of things. It's the end of the Arkansas game. It's the beginning of the Utah game. It's the end of the Utah game. And I know what you're saying, Ben, but I mean, like I said, I get all those things, but foundation has absolutely nothing to do with those kind of situations, except with if you pull the foundation back and get rid of all them people with a Jordan shirt on at the Havner Center.
Okay.
And maybe go from 100
analysts to check this out. Okay, Loren, my nephew played in a playoff game last week, right? Right? Big crowd, they on the road. They block a punt. Listen, they block a punt. And they they block a punt. The next series, they block a punt and they hit the kicker and they said, run into the kicker. And I said, I'm on the sideline, I'm easy to find, big black guy.
Right.
And I took my glasses off and I said, Ref, here, brand new prescription, because you cannot run into the punter if you block the punt. He says at Georgia high school football you can, and I took me and my lady, I left. She says, why? I said, because they're going to call the police on me. I said, wait a minute. I said, you can run into the punter and block the punt? He says, in Georgia high school football you can. And I said, I don't think that's correct, sir. And he tells me, he says one more word, and you out of here. So I just grabbed my lady by the hand, looked at my nephew, wait, because I'm telling you, there are certain things worth getting kicked at. To me, if that's Florida and we block a punt and they do run to the kicker, Billy Napier's going to think, that's fine. No, it's not. You can't do that. You can't run into the kicker's fair game if you block it. So all I'm saying is what you just said, Loren, there are certain things in football that should never happen. And the one thing that should never happen is Arkansas game. It happened, but it's not supposed to happen. But it happened. And we lose, and the young man jump up. They ain't gonna make a bowl game either, shushing the crowd. Because man,
you were there, Ben. You were there, Ben, when Tennessee makes that throw into the end zone to beat us, and also there when Florida State makes that throw into the end zone, and all our safety has to do is lift his hands like that, and the ball will hit him in the chest, and he didn't.
I'm just
Loren.
Simple operations, man. Simple operations.
Y'all be right. Listen. Loren, you understand. This is what happens. At first, you watch the game, you saw just track the ball. Let me tell you something. If you can complete a go route on the sideline, that bothers me. They shouldn't even throw. I should turn my back and use my inside shoulder to push.
But see, I'm talking about the fact that the Chinese fire drill long before the kick. And it's like you got 1 million people on the sideline. And then here come the heavy, man, they look like a rap concert running on the field. It looked like they was bum rushing the stage and the clock is stopped. Even Graham Mertz was like, what are y'all doing? And I get it. I mean, I'm being, facetious or whatever. But my point is, it's just those kind of things that, regardless of foundation, it's like those things they continue to happen for the last 2 seasons. And that's my thing is, they continue to happen with this football team.
Let me throw one thing in here.
Franz, let me let you wrap it up, okay? You go ahead and make that point and then bring it home, all right? We have real good overtime. Go, Franz.
Since Ben brought up the Zebras, I've got White Oak High School in North Carolina for a playoff game in North Carolina, and this is in the fall of 1969. A 22-yard field goal goes up right through the uprights, and the Zebra says no good, and they run off the field. Last play of the game, we asked him why. He said it was too high. Honest to goodness. My point is this. Stuff happens. I'll disagree with Loren here. I rarely disagree with him, but I'll disagree with this. If the foundation is solid, you don't have that kind of stuff going on that you're talking about, and that is, I think there's going to have to be some come to Jesus with the staff. I don't have a problem with all the analysts and everything like that. What I have a problem with is the efficiency. If I can get it done with 10 and they're efficient, great. If it takes 100 and they're efficient, great. But when you got the problems and they're not getting it done, then you got to sit there and say, do I have too many? Do I have just enough? Or are they just bad? Okay.
Right. Good point. That's a good point, Frank.
And Florida has got to get. There's going to be come to Jesus this.
Yeah. It's going to be come to Jesus. D linemen are beating DBs down the field chasing. How does a D lineman be in front of a DB and a DB is already 10 yards back? How?
You got to have. My belief is they got to bring in 15 kids in the portal, 5 offensive linemen, 5 defensive linemen, and 5 other guys that can play somewhere. Maybe a couple of linebackers. But the point is this: they've got to be very judicious about what they're going to bring in, because, you know, you can have, I understand about the inexperience, but if you're expecting to win with just your inexperienced guys, it's going to take time. If you want to win now, then you got to be as smart as Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin uses the portal better than anybody in college football, because he can't recruit great high school kids to Ole Miss, but by golly, he's got 16 portal starters, and he's won 10 ball. He's going to win 10 ball games this year.
Okay.
So that's what it's going to take. You've got to evaluate, and by golly, if you've got to get better. You know, the coaching, either Billy's got to say, you're either going to coach better, or I'm going to run your ass out of the profession forever, or else you're going to be gone, and I'm going to bring somebody in who isn't going to get his ass run out of.
All right, friends. Thank you. Two ass representatives there. You get 30 seconds, Ben, and Loren, you get 30.
At the end of the day, listen. We all went to court, and the judge took his gavel and said, "Loren, Buddy, Ben, life." Boom. We are stuck with these jokers for life. And what are we gonna do, right? That's what it is.
It.
Florida is our family members, and guess what? We don't got to like them all, but that's what we stuck with. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you can't
amen to that. Amen to that.
You can't root for Florida. You got to root for the Tampa.
What you got?
To root for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Wait a minute. Hey! Don't be making disparaging remarks about the Rays. Your team is home too. It was home also.
I'm sorry.
Oh no! Don't be disparaging my Rays just because you're mad at somebody.
You're not calling National League Player of the Year. What is his name? Acuna.
I don't know how to say that name. All right. Please, Loren, save this. You got 30 seconds.
Florida has, for all the griping and moaning, I think Florida does have 2 winnable ball games on the back end of the schedule. And the fact that the Florida State game is at home, I think when we were all going through our list of games that we thought were winnable football games and things like that, talking about 6-7 wins. I had Missouri and Florida State as wins. And I still think, with some breaks, but Florida has to find a way to force some turnovers in both of those football games. And unfortunately, they haven't been very adept at that. But if they can get a few turnovers, they have, because the offense is clicking. So
all right,
that's something positive.
All right, Coach Meadows, good discussion tonight. Loren, Ben, Franz, appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll catch up to you in the weekend. Enjoy the game. See ya. Thanks. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up tonight and tell you about our friends at RedStar Medical Research, longtime sponsors and friends who've been doing this a long time for us. We do appreciate that loyalty. They have a reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility right here in Ocala. They bring cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us here in our community. They're looking for answers all the time, and that's why they have these clinical trials. You can take part in these. They'd love for you to. But go into RedStar.net, check out the times, see if you qualify to become a member of this team of trials. Remember, RedStar has done over 700 clinical trials since they started in 1998. So check them out. Go to RedStar.net, find out more about RedStar. They partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. RedStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks to Ben Troupe, Franz Beard, Loren Meadows for a good discussion on Florida football. See Gator Bait to check out my survival guide for Gators. You're going to be needing it. You might put a bottle of Jack Daniels in there too. Go over now and subscribe to this podcast and help us get through this. Gets us better ratings and better numbers and helps us keep it on there. Hope you enjoyed it. Back tomorrow with Urban Meyer on the Best Fridays in Football. And we'll see you then right here on the Buddy Martin Show.